I'm Shirlaine from TSC Tuition, and today I'll be talking about 6 great verbs to use in a TEAL body paragraph. Last week I outlined what the TEAL paragraph should look like, so go ahead and watch that first if you haven't already. But if you have seen that video already, today I'll be talking about 6 great verbs to use in the explanation part of your TEAL paragraph. The first word is suggest. This is a great alternative verb to something like says or is about, because you can add qualifiers to the verb to make it sound a little bit different in all of your sentences. So for example, you could say that the quote visually suggests something, or metaphorically suggests something, or figuratively suggests something. In some cases, you could even say a quote or an author is literally suggesting something. When we use the word suggest, such as the quote suggests, or the author suggests, or a character suggests, we're really talking about our interpretation of what the quote or the character or the author means. And guess what? That's really the sole purpose of a text essay, that is your interpretation of the text. The second word I'm going to talk about is imply. When we imply something, we're assuming that the reader is going to pick up on meanings that are not said. So for example, a character could imply a threat to another character, or an author may imply an emotional state of a character without really, actually saying that character John is sad. Again, this is a great verb to use because it shows that you, the student, understands what the author is trying to do or what the character is trying to do. The next 4 verbs I'm going to recommend is going to take the place of demonstrates or illustrates or reveals or shows. Students find it really hard to find alternative ways of saying that, this quote demonstrates or this quote reveals this theme or that the author is illustrating something without repeating those words over and over. So the next 4 verbs are intended to give you more words up your sleeve to use when you get stuck. Number 3 is indicates. Indicates is a great verb to use in place of something like demonstrates or illustrates, because ultimately what it really says is that it hints at or it shows. Word number 4 is portrays. We can use the verb portrays if we're talking about the author describing something in a particular way or illustrating something. Word number 5 is depicts. Depicts is a slightly more specific word than portrays. When an author is portraying something, we're talking about a general showing. Whereas depicting is describing something in a very particular way. So for example, while an author may portray a character as being cynical and pessimistic, the author could depict this through the actions of a character or through particular adjectives that they use to describe this character. But even so, in saying that, they are very similar verbs and you can probably use them fairly interchangeably. My last recommended verb is frame. Now this is a slightly more technical verb. When we talk about an author framing something, we're talking about the author controlling what we see and what we don't see of the character or themes or whatever it is that the author is framing. I like to think about it by thinking about it literally like a photo frame. When you put a photo inside a photo frame, what you're doing is you are setting up a boundary or a limit around the photo. It is separating what is the photo and what isn't the photo, so for example the wall or the air around it. By doing that, you're bringing attention to the photograph itself. The same applies to the verb when we use it analytically. We can say that the author frames a character in a certain way by controlling what we do see and what we don't see of the character or the situation that's happening. So an author might withhold from us certain information about the character that might contradict what the author wants us to know about this character. A villain, for example, would be framed in a very specific way than, say, the protagonist. We would probably see a villain in very specific contexts and not say, you know, their interaction with their beloved cat, or, you know, going to the bathroom or waking up in the morning. Whereas a protagonist might be framed in a different way to make them more relatable or to make them more heroic. If you're going to use the word frame, we really need to say that the author is framing or that the text is framing. Sometimes you could say that the quote frames a situation in a particular way, but I would say that's a more unusual use of the verb. So there you go, 6 recommended verbs for your TEAL paragraph. As always, like and subscribe to all of our social media to get all of our tips and tricks to getting the best out of your VCE English subjects. And if you'd like to get some one-to-one tutoring in the eastern suburbs of Melbourne, please contact us and we can send someone out to you. Thanks for watching.